we interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Friday night. Welcome to another Vikings Uncensored Live. We have reached the playoffs, ladies and gentlemen, and there are no more mulligans in this season of NFL football. You win or you go home. And, of course, a lot of stuff surrounding the game here this coming weekend. Of course, first off, want to, say to everybody in California, Los Angeles area dealing with the wildfires right now, our thoughts are with you, hoping everybody is okay. And there are things more important than football, and this is obviously one of those things. There are thousands and thousands of homes being destroyed, thousands of acres of land. It's just a bad scene out there. So with that, of course, being said, the wild card game between the Minnesota Vikings and Los Angeles Rams has been moved to State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona, home of the Arizona Cardinals. Tickets went back on sale this afternoon for those. Sounds like a lot of Vikings people probably going to be there. So crowd-wise, this may be an advantage for the Vikings, but we'll talk about that in a little more detail here in a bit. Doc, good evening. Ant, good evening. Good evening, everybody in the chat. Thank you for joining, of course, as always. Got a few news items to talk about here quick, and then, of course, we'll get into we'll give Brunswick his last thoughts on the debacle in Detroit last week, and then move forward with the preview, do our keys to the game, and, of course, make some predictions at the end of the show. Ant has a thing, team with a better record needs to host a playoff game. Yeah, that argument's going around for reseeding in the playoffs. I'm open to suggestions on that, I guess, myself.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's this year, yeah, definitely it would have benefited Minnesota. There's other years where there's other team, that's a discussion that can be had at a different time. Doesn't need to be had right now. Obviously, it's not going to change at this point in time. But Ryan, good evening. But let's start off with a little bit of news here first. Of course, Black Monday occurred this past week, and several head coaches have been let go. A couple of them, of course, during the season. So the interview stuff is going hot and heavy. The Chicago Bears and the New York Jets are interviewing everybody who has ever played Madden at the expert level, the way it seems. I mean, the Jets are bringing in guys like Rex Ryan, and I think they're casting a wide net and dragging everything off the bottom that is out there apparently. But with that being said, a couple of Vikings coordinators getting interviews there as well. Josh McCown actually got an interview, or is going to get an interview for the head coaching job there.
What'd I tell you about Josh McCown, Rhino?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, right. I keep fading out on your screen. My internet was being a little wonky earlier. Hopefully it's holding up all right. But yeah, if my feed is bad, I apologize. You can blame Elon. I don't know. The Starlink maybe not working properly tonight, but
Working.
California
It looks like it's
Wi-Fi.
going good over here on my end, but
Yeah, I mean, I'm on my end, everything looks good, but maybe it's just you, Ryan. Quit blinking your left eye, and then maybe it'll be fine. But good morning, Nymph, Filipino fan club in the house. But yeah, otherwise, the Bears and Jets interviewing everybody under the sun. Like I said, sounds like Mike Vrabel probably is going to get the job in New England. A lot of controversy going on there, of course, that I'm not going to get into because it's stupid.
it is. It's stupid. It's stupid. Very stupid.
But probably the most important one, of course, our own Brian Flores getting several interviews. Already has interviews with the Jets, the Bears, and the Jaguars lined up. Now Flores has said he will sit for all requests, but he said it's going to have to be the perfect situation and the right fit for him to leave Minnesota. So,
And I think that says enough right there. I think
Yep.
that's very telling.
Yep, it does.
And it kind of goes by what we've been saying all this whole time with the whole speculation with Flores.
Yep. Well, and I think he learned, that whole deal in Miami where you've got them basically telling him to go out and lose games and all that other stuff. I don't think he has any stomach whatsoever to go to another shit show organization and have to deal with something like that, which, honestly, on that list, the Jets would fall under that category.
I mean, all three of those teams, I think, fall into that category.
Yeah, to a point. I mean, the Jaguars are probably the most.
The only one that really would have concerned me would have been the Patriots, and with taking Flores on as the head coach. But obviously, It sounds like Vrabel's going there. So,
I mean, yeah, because Flores had said that he's definitely would be interested in the New England Patriots job, but of course, being a former Patriot coach, so there's a little history there.
Exactly.
Yeah, Ryan,
I agree.
Yeah, McCardle's going to be a coordinator at some point very soon. I firmly believe that.
And I could see McCown and Flores both being head coaches next year, and McCardle taking right up the rear there.
Yeah, I don't know that McCown is head coach ready yet. I mean, making that jump from quarterback coach up to head coach is a pretty good sized jump.
I think, Beans with McCown's already had an interview for a head coaching job prior to this request from the Jets. So I think that's showing that the league believes that McCown might be ready to take on the head coaching job.
Yeah.
Especially with the people that he's coached under, and then especially being under the O'Connell tree right now, which is really hot at the moment. And what he did with Darnold this year with O'Connell. I mean, it's tempting, I believe, for some of those.
It absolutely is. But I guess my thought on this whole thing, and we see this a lot of times, and this is why you get a lot of these one and done head coaches, because you hire somebody who's not quite ready to be that head coach. They jump up there too quick, and then you have an impatient owner, like a David Tepper in Carolina or Jimmy Haslam in Cleveland, who consults homeless people on who they should draft for quarterbacks, and some of these.
Going off of that, I think McCown will be just as tedious as Flores is when it comes to taking on that head coaching job, and that would be beneficial to him as well. Like you're saying, with needing that extra time around the right personnel and
most definitely
that knowledge from a head coaching standpoint. And that's what a lot of coaches should do instead of just jumping at the first opportunity. Well,
and that's the problem. It's you go back to the thing with Kevin O'Connell at the beginning of the year, where teams fail young quarterbacks long before a young quarterback will fail a team. Well, teams will fail a young head coach or an inexperienced head coach long before that coach fails it too. Or you've got, some of these teams that, we hired you. We sucked this year. We were 4-13. we're hiring this new head coach. Oh, we're 5-12 next year. Oh, that's not good enough. You're gone. The team was obviously 4-13 the year before for some damn reason. So, you can't. So these guys, I understand, winning and all this other stuff, but you have to be able to give a staff time to redo the team and make it their own and fix things.
This whole one year and done thing has gotten to be pretty crazy in the league, especially recently. I've always been a firm believer in the 3-year window as far as head coaching goes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Unless it's absolutely disastrous. I mean, like Eberflus, I would have gotten rid of Eberflus 2 years ago if it was me running things down there.
Or if it's an Urban Meyer type shit show or something like that.
But I'm a firm believer in that 3-year window for what you got in a head coach.
And that's the way it should be. But there's a lot of these owners
rookies coming out of the draft. I'm a firm believer in that too. A 3-year window for rookie players coming out of the draft.
Right. Yeah. You can't just assume that somebody's going to come out and be, that elite level, no matter if it's coaching or playing right out of the gate. I mean, you got to remember these are, 20, 21, 22-year-old kids coming out here, playing against grown ass men that have been
the best, the professionals, the best in the entire United States, and so on and so forth.
Brian, absolutely. That says them all full right there. That's the biggest thing of the whole. Has Wes had any interview requests? Not that I have heard so far. I think with Wes Phillips, that DUI thing probably is kind of hurting him a little bit.
And I think Wes really does stand in Kevin O'Connell's shadow immensely, and I just to be fact for fact, he does. He stands in Kevin O'Connell's shadow. And I think it might even take him going to another team and actually calling plays as an OC before he will get any looks as a head coach.
Yeah, but I mean,
that's where I see that spark in McCown. I just see something there in him as a human that he could take on that head coaching role. I don't see that same thing in Wes Phillips.
But, look at it this way. Kevin O'Connell, it's going to be the same kind of a thing that it is with Sean McVay. If when Kevin O'Connell wins a Super Bowl, all of his coordinators are going to be hot commodities, especially under the offensive side. I mean, that's how Kevin O'Connell got here. Is Sean McVay won a Super Bowl in Los Angeles even though O'Connell didn't call the plays.
See, the one thing about that, though, is that we have a lot of hot commodities right now, I believe, at coordinators, but they genuinely like being here. They genuinely like being on this coaching staff. And I believe that affords them the opportunity to be really meticulous in who they decide to go to.
Oh, right. And that's the way all these guys should be. I mean, I know there's some guys out there that just want a job so bad they're going to take the first shit job place that offers them a job. But honestly, would you want to go to the New York Jets where Woody Johnson lets his son help make personnel decisions based off Madden rankings?
Exactly. And the Bears aren't much better either. They like to control what's going on.
And the Bears are in this stupid thing where their GMs and coaches and stuff are on separate levels. So they hire a GM, they keep the old coach for 2 years. Then they fire the old coach, bring in a new coach. Then the GM's going to get fired. And then after they hire up a second coach, and then it's all on this. And then they throw a quarterback in there on top of it. So it's just all this,
And with this question that Ant brings up, it's a good question, but I don't think that's ever going to happen. I don't think O'Connell will ever hand over play calling duties unless we end up sliding and the offense is a glaring weakness. Right. I don't see O'Connell handing off play calling duties. And in O'Connell's defense, he's had his moment. All coaches in this league that call plays, or even coordinators that call plays, have their moments where you're like, what the fuck? But thankfully, more often than not, KOC doesn't have those moments. Like, would I like to see more of a kill shot towards the end of games? Yes, I would, but he wins games, and that's all that matters.
Yep. And Jer, you brought this point I was just going to make to Ant's question here. We cannot say one way or the other if Wes would be better or worse calling the plays than KOC.
And I don't think
Wes has never called plays.
Right.
Just like Kevin had never called plays, when he was under McVay.
That's why I said I truly believe it's going to take Wes going somewhere and showing that he could actually call plays and be a coordinator to get that true shot at head coaching.
Wes has the lineage. There's no doubt about that.
That's true.
But
yes,
but just because you have the lineage doesn't mean that you're any good at it. I mean, you turn over play calling duties to him, and he may suck ass. He may be fantastic. You don't know until he actually gets a chance to do it.
Right. I could see if this offense was slumping. I mean, outside of last week, which we will get to. I would not even think about handing over play calling to Wes.
No. But with that, that's a great segue into Brunswick's last word. We'll let rip the Band-Aid off of that debacle against the Lions one last time, and then flush it down the toilet. So the floor is yours there, Lance.
Well, I really don't want to hang around and wallow in last week's loss. It was, I mean, if you follow our Facebook page, I made a post on Facebook, and I mean, we can't be doing that when it matters the most. And it was disheartening. It was just disgusting. I mean, the defense did everything it needed to do to keep this team in the game. It's just like the offense didn't show up. And the fact that we were handed opportunity after opportunity after opportunity to put points on the board, but we weren't able to do it. People want to say that we're throwing Sam Darnold under the bus. Well, not really. I want Sam Darnold to succeed just like every other Vikings fan does. But when it comes to calling a spade, the guy had a horrible, horrible game last week.
And you could see it from the get-go.
Yeah, missing guys wide open in the red zone. When you have 4 trips into the red zone, and the thing is that we can beat Detroit. We can beat Detroit, but not if we played like we did last week. This team is capable of beating that team from Michigan.
Yeah,
that's just it. And the thing is the rubber match. It's hard to beat a team, twice in a year. It's even harder to beat them 3 times in a year. I would love to be able to go in to Detroit and knock them out to punch our ticket into the Super Bowl. The season's not over. Was it a bad taste in my mouth last week? Absolutely it was. It was horrible. And it was a gut shot for me as a fan. But I'm going to be there Monday night cheering this team on full bore to go get that championship. Yeah, and the D played great. I mean, that false start on that first drive was just, it took the wind out of the sails on offense to start the game. We were rolling on offense to come out.
The simple fact that Darnold couldn't hit a wide open TJ Hawkinson for the first down to get that drive, kept the drive going.
Well, it hit him in the hands. It hit him in the hands. He should have brought it in my opinion. But that drive was rolling. And that false start really played out the rest of the game. We were given, like I said, opportunity after opportunity to come back. The Lions let us hang around until the end of the third quarter. And I mean, the defense gave up 31 points, but what do you expect? They had to be gassed.
They only had given up 10 points until late in the third quarter, and then they got tired.
Yeah. Right.
Ryan, yes, that did happen. I saw it live on TV as it pulled out. So
and you know what? Very, in my opinion, classy for Campbell to say that. He knows that O'Connell just had a bad night and that this team just had a bad night. That we didn't play up to our potential that night. That we didn't show up to go and win the division, especially on offense.
Yeah.
Yes, Steven, I'm eager to see Darnold bounce back too. He's gonna have to.
Yeah. And I mean, there again, okay, so that let's flush Detroit out the back there. For as badly as Detroit fans want to still come after us on social media, I made the comparison this week that Detroit Lions fans are like that little yappy fucking chihuahua that's standing out in the front yard as you're walking by on the street, and you just you ignore them and keep walking by. They start back here so I can give you some more shit behind you. I realize they've got a bye this week and have nothing better to do, but the thing that pisses those guys off more than anything is just to ignore them. So just Skull for life. Good evening.
That interior of the offensive line didn't do Darnold any favors last week either. That was the worst. You know, the best offensive like pass blocking the week before that, followed up by the worst offensive pass blocking
what was it?
this season.
Robinson, I think, gave up 8 pressures.
Nine
Nine
Brando
pressures.
gave up 8.
Brando gave up 8. I think Bradbury was like 5 or 6.
It was a couple of weeks ago where I said that
the right side of the offense was fine. I think
2 for Reisner and 1 for O'Neal as far as pressures given up.
But yeah, Darnold was pressured, I think, on like 57% of his dropbacks, if I remember the number.
No, that offensive line was playing on its heels all night, and it did not help Darnold in any way, shape, or form.
Good evening. Ivan got his tickets to the game. Perfect. Welcome to the show, by the way. New name again on here, so always good to see that. Steven, yeah, absolutely. This is exactly the point that we need to make. And with that, that is a great segue. We're no more Detroit. We are moving on to Monday night's matchup against the Los Angeles Rams. As we mentioned, game being played down in Glendale, Arizona due to the California wildfires. Is this an advantage, Vikings? I think it is, because there's a shit ton of Minnesota Vikings fans that snowbird winter down in Arizona. And there was a lot of guys too that, had the opportunity to go on there. When the presale went up, you could get upper level tickets for like $38 and $40 a ticket. And then all of a sudden, 20 minutes later, they were $338. But
it's a great point by Jer there too.
Yeah, I'm getting down to that one in a minute here. Steven had a question. You think Kevin O'Connell on 4th down in the red zone will go for it again last time or kick the field goal this time? I mean, it's going to depend on the situation, I think.
That's what I was going to say too, Rhino. That was my exact words. It's going to be situational again. It comes down to that moment. It comes down to that specific moment and what his gut is telling him.
Yep. Now, the one thing, issue with the red zone, beyond Sam Darnold, what we saw last week is we can't run in the red zone in the short yardage.
No, that's been all season.
72% of our runs, there's contact at the line of scrimmage.
It feels actually, you know what? It feels more like it's been a couple of seasons that we've had that issue where we just can't run it on the goal line.
We don't have the offensive line. We've got the tackles to do it, especially once Darrisaw's back, but those interior 3. Now, Dalton Reisner's been more than serviceable as a pass blocker. He's not a very good run blocker, but Bradbury and Brandel have sucked it, both of them, and that's where the problem lies.
Yeah. And we don't have that elite back, or a young back with fresh legs right now to make up for the fact that the interior line just isn't what it needs to be.
Yeah. Brian, Arizona grass. So I think Arizona is grass. That's one of the few stadiums that has that big tray that slides out in and out so that they actually have natural grass in there. KOC going for it on that first down was the right choice. Sling and Sammy was, yeah. He had Jordan Addison wide open at the goal line on that one. And then he had that other one that Jefferson was wide open in the freaking end zone, and that didn't need to use Ham more for the goal line.
I agree 1,000%, Steven. I've been saying that now for the last 4 freaking weeks.
Yeah, I mean, you have a fullback for a reason. A lot of teams don't even carry a fullback anymore. We do.
I can even tell you, we used to run that fullback dive for touchdowns quite often way back in the day.
Yeah.
Why can't we just call a fullback dive down there on the 3-yard line? That would have been perfect last week.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of situations.
Down here in Phoenix, I already heard some people saying it's as close to a Minnesota home game as we can get. I've been kind of hearing rumblings of that. Of course, I'm nowhere near there. I'm up in North Dakota, but Just people I've been talking to, it sounds like Vikings fans will be well represented in that stadium on Monday night. So, what else do we got here? Brandon needs to change. Yeah, Garrett Bradbury. Garrett Bradbury has been awful for most of the time he's been here, honestly.
I think since we started the show, we've been
absolutely. I mean, we keep talking. We coined him Badberry here several years ago, and he's still not gotten any better. I know they like his smarts and how he can call plays to line stuff, but the guy
no anchor
has the leverage of a bendy straw.
No fucking anchor.
No anchor whatsoever. And that's, people say, yeah, he's a smaller guy. Yeah, okay, yeah, he's not some big 350-pound guy. He's like 310. But the problem, it's not necessarily size. It's leverage. You get a small guy can get up under a guy way bigger than him and push him all over the place if you get the right leverage on it.
That's what got exposed last week. It's what got exposed last week to the team.
Yeah, it is. Ray Away, good evening. Yeah, we brought that up at the start of the show off. There are things bigger than football and more important than football, and right now that's one of those that's going.
Right,
so.
Ryan Bianchi has a fucking 100%. We don't have that power guy. Use him as that power guy.
Yeah, and when we didn't have the power guy, at least we had a guy that could, hit the home run like Delvin Cook, when he was in his prime or things like that. Aaron Jones.
Delvin Cook had a better line to run behind than the one that's established right now.
Yeah. I mean, Aaron Jones is not a home run guy. He's a guy that's going to get you, he's kind of
he can get you a 40-yard chunk, but he's going to get caught.
Right. Yeah. And we saw that, Cam Akers almost got it the other day, but
Pace almost got it too. We just could not fucking punch it in the end zone.
No. Pat Elflein. No, I don't. Pat Elflein is still actually in the league, I think, last I checked, but yeah, George, that's sad too. But I don't want to get into too off target on that. But yeah, it's a bad situation out there as well. And we keep thinking about those guys too. But biggest thing on this game this weekend, is Sam Darnold going to have a bounce back game?
It's got to be a redemption game here for Sammy D. I mean, he played all season to get to where he's at. And right now it's a make or break game really when it comes to that next contract as well for Sam Darnold.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I saw something today where, I think Spotrac has the estimated contract value for Sam Darnold now at like 52 million, something like that.
Still?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if he comes out and lays another clunker, there's no way in hell he's getting that kind of money anywhere. But I mean, I feel confident that he's going to be able to come back.
I feel like he can too. I truly believe that Darnold can make a redemption game coming up here against the Rams. And the new, I hate following the news to the Vikings a week after a game like we had. I can't. I just can't. I can't.
No, it drives me nuts.
I can't. But some of the stuff that's come out about the Rams in the prior game, and we've talked about it. I don't know if you've talked about it on rants, but them not knowing the availability of Puka Nacua last game was huge.
Yeah, it caught him off guard, and Brian Flores admitted that this week, that they did not expect to see Puka Nacua come out there, and that made all the difference, I think, in the world in that game, because they didn't have the plan. They had a plan to stop one of them, but they didn't have a plan to stop them both. They knew Cooper Kupp was probably going to play, but the Rams kept that Puka Nacua thing under wraps until like 90 minutes.
They did, until the very last hour.
Because earlier in the day on Thursday, they didn't even know if he was going to be activated or not.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, 90 minutes before game time, he's activated and he's playing. And he played well. He had like 130 some yards receiving that game.
And Kevin O'Connell has to have Sam Darnold ready mentally for this game. You know, we all seen it as fans, is that there was the yips, man.
Yeah.
The balls were sailing high. You gotta just settle down. You just gotta settle down, especially right now under the circumstances. You gotta just woosah and just let it rip.
I mean, that was I think probably the most concerning part about the game last week is they couldn't get him settled down.
No, just wound up so tight.
I mean, they probably should have been trying to do some more of those, quick hitters.
I think they tried on some drives to get the rhythm passes going, and it was just having a hard time.
But it didn't seem like it was working. It's just like somebody hopped in a time machine, went and got Sam Darnold from 4 years ago in New York, right after the seeing ghost comment, brought him back and threw him in a Vikings uniform. And I mean, I think
I don't know how much I buy into that exactly. I don't know.
Yeah,
I really don't know. I would hope it's not. I hope we came out last week and we went in there thinking that we were going to win the game and not go in there and just play possum. I mean,
yeah, I can't see him throwing a game or, to give up the opportunity to have the number one seed, have all of the
and
games.
The thing is you can see it in Sam's throws and the body language. The thing that's just what it is.
Yeah, that's just the point I was just trying to make, Ryan. Sam was too jacked up. It was, and they couldn't get him calmed down for whatever reason it was. It just, he got inside his own head. I don't know, he was back to seeing ghosts or whatever the heck it was. Doc out.
But the thing is that we know he can do it. You just got to reel it in. You just got to reel him in. We know that he can do it. He didn't throw it. He didn't cause any turnovers last week, but his plays did not help this team win the game.
No, and that's the thing, when you're sailing wide open passes.
We love you, Darnold, but come on, man. Just
play
for next week.
We talked about this before the game last week. The Vikings needed to win 4 more games in order to win the Super Bowl this year. We still need to win 4 more games in order to win the Super Bowl. We used our mulligan last week. There are no more mulligans. You lose another game and you're done.
And another thing to understand is, though, too, the more games you win and the bigger of a streak that you get on, the harder it is to keep winning. So maybe that loss is what this team needed going into the playoffs. But it was such a gut-wrenching experience at the same time. It's not what you want. I would have been okay with a loss by a field goal or a loss by a touchdown.
Yeah, like how the first game went.
The way that we went out and lost really opened my eyes, and we've been there before. Come on, Sam. And Campbell see that. He knows. He said, we'll see you in 2 weeks. He knows that this team can get it done, that we are the biggest threat to this team.
Yeah, and it's, winning. But like you mentioned, going on a long winning streak in the NFL is extremely hard. This team had won 9 straight games. It would have been extremely difficult to win 13 straight games.
Yes.
Now, so, I mean, if you look at it that way from a positive, that win streak is over. We need to start a new win streak. All we have to do is we just won 9 straight. All we have to do now is win 4 straight. And we're golden. Took the target off our back. I mean, in a way it did, yeah. But Jer, exactly, 10-9 late in the third quarter, just got gassed.
Exactly. Yes. Great point, Jer. Great point. Yep. And that's why it was so frustrating. That's why it's so frustrating is you had those opportunities.
Right.
It could have easily been 28-10 at that point if we would have just capitalized.
We had 4 drives inside the red zone. That should have been 28 points right there.
Just so fucking frustrating. It's 2 of them within the 3-yard line, Rhino.
Right. Okay, now my next question.
to
Go
see
ahead.
Detroit get away with those 4th down conversions fucking just eats at me, man.
Mm-hmm. And
God.
you know that my number one key to the game last week was stop Jahmyr Gibbs. They didn't stop Jahmyr Gibbs. 4 fucking touchdowns. You got
We had
Karen
him
Williams.
stopped until we couldn't match. Once we stopped being able to match the intensity, Gibbs got loose
Yeah.
because
It's
Ginkgo
because
set
the defense
tone.
got gassed.
Yeah.
But now we don't have a whole, it's not going to be much easier this week. They've got, the Rams have Kyron Williams, who's a
The
very, very
Rams are
good
the
running
poor
back.
man's Detroit Lions right now. The Rams are the poor man's version of the Detroit Lions right now, in my opinion.
Interesting comparison, I guess. But now here's the next thing. We'll move off Sam Darnold now since we've been talking about him for 20 minutes here. But do we have to be concerned with Will Reichert?
Yeah, I said it 2 weeks ago. And then he went and kicked off and did another illegal procedure penalty last week, which was huge.
Yeah, kicking the damn thing out of bounds in a dome. And then
I am concerned.
Yeah, and then he shanked that other field goal too. That, I mean, in the end, it really didn't make any damn difference because we weren't close enough. But I think Reichert's still hurt. He has not been the same since they brought him back. I think they brought him back too early.
I think his confidence is lagging right now.
Yeah, you talk about Darnold having the yips. I think Reichert has the yips a little bit too, but should have brought Romo back in. I think we should have kept Romo around for an extra week or so and just let, given, because as well as Parker Romo was kicking, could have given Reichert another week or two to make sure
At
that
this
he
point
was.
in hindsight, you should have thrown Reichert on the IR, come back next year and just rolled with Romo for the rest of the season.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Brian, I wasn't ready to put the alarm up on Reichert yet, but the last 2 weeks he has not been good at all.
I was in my keys last week.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, moving on with the Rams, we know that there shouldn't be any surprises with the Rams this time. We know that Nakua and Kupp are playing. Kyron Williams, of course, is Kyron Williams. Matt Stafford is Matt Stafford. We didn't get a single sack on Stafford last time.
He's not prime Stafford, though. He's definitely not prime Matt Stafford anymore.
No, he's not, but he still can get it done. So they got to get, and we've seen Stafford throughout the years. If you can hit Stafford, knock him around and stuff, he will make mistakes.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And, that's what they're going to have to do this week is they're going to have to, Bob, we should have kept 2 kickers. I mean, Romo was on the practice squad and he got sniped. So, we could always go back and get him, but you'd have to sign him to the active roster in order to get him on there. And they're not going to burn.
No, at this point, you continue to walk the bridge that you built with the guy that you got.
Yep. And especially with the fact now that they did finally do the activation of Daniel Jones to the active roster for the playoffs, which, does a couple of things. One, it puts somebody that's got a little more experience in there should we need a backup. And also it will activate that compensatory pick.
Exactly, Brian. You agree with me. Nice.
Yeah.
I guarantee you that Rams defense is going back and looking at Aaron Glentz's defense's tape this last week.
Yeah. Yeah. Ryan, great point here. We didn't have Cashman last time. And we saw it. I mean, the defense.
This is a Super Bowl level defense, damn it.
It is. They kept this team in that game last week for 3.5 quarters or 3 quarters anyway. And when the offense absolutely just refused to do its part, the defense got gassed. I mean, it's
I
going to
think
happen
I said it like
eventually.
what, 6 times last week? All right, go punch it in the end zone. Go punch it in the end zone. All right, let's go punch it in the end zone.
Yeah.
And we never did.
It's an overthrow on 4th down from the 6-yard line. But yeah, and then, of course, you've got the Rams defense is no joke either. You've got, Jared Verse and Brandon Fisk up front there. Those guys, I mean, this was the game that Darisaw got hurt in when we played the Rams earlier this year. So, I mean, Cam Robinson hasn't faced these guys. And
Cam Robinson's on a steady decline the last 6 weeks of the season.
Well, and part of the problem is I believe, that and these two are intertwined with the fact that Brandel his play has fallen off a cliff since Darisaw got hurt.
Yeah.
And I think by Brandel's play continuing to plummet, that's also dragging Robinson down along with him.
Yeah, makes sense.
And so it's Brandel's playing worse because he's not next to Darisaw, and Robinson's playing worse because he's got Brandel next to him, who's not playing as well because he's, and then you've got Bradbury on the other side that's not helping anybody out. So, the one thing that they got to do, that they got to get the ball out quicker. Last week we saw that a lot. Darnold stood there and stood there and stood there and stood there, and it, because we're trying to get all these long developing plays down the field going. You just can't.
And the thing is that these guys were getting open. It's just Darnold wasn't hitting it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's.
But Darnold got hit the most he's ever been hit in a game last week.
Yeah.
So.
And that doesn't help the situation at all.
You got him out there limping around at the end of the game.
Well, once they got up by last 5 minutes or so, they should have just sat Darnold down and let Mullins finish off the game. Just so they should have pulled all the guys. Jefferson should have been pulled out. Jones, Addison, whoever they needed to pull out of there should have been out of that game at the end there, and just
Turk coming in with another good one.
First game against the Rams, scored 2 touchdowns in the first 2 drives and only got 2 field goals after that. Yeah, absolutely. And that boils down to this whole thing about we got to play a complete game.
Yeah, that's just it. We
can't go into that shell of, we off the scripted plays, we do great. We do okay through the second half, and then come out of the third quarter and sleepwalk for the next 9 minutes. You can't do that in the playoffs, or we're going to be done this week. Doc, Sam held the ball so long I was able to get a fresh beer and a smoke. Yeah, some of those it seemed that way.
But a lot of that goes into the passing scheme too. Are the routes that are being called, short enough to develop to where you can let it go within 3 seconds, or you got to wait 5 seconds for those routes to get developed completely?
Yeah, but I'm not going to completely absolve Sam of this because of the long developing plays. Because if you look on a lot of these plays that we missed, there were, it's just like we've seen, from time and time again here and a few times during the year. When Sam misses somebody, there is somebody else open someplace else. And he's not seeing. He's either, or he's not trusting himself to throw it there. But then you go to some other games and Sam's just goes out there just like a freaking cyborg and just boom, 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 boom.
Yeah. Like that's why I still believe this team can get it done.
Yeah.
Because we've seen it. It's on tape.
Yeah, and if they didn't study the tape last time to make adjustments, then we got a problem. I mean, we do. Because there are no second chances anymore.
No, the new season begins now.
Right. And if you come out and you play like you did last week, we are going to be talking about who the Vikings are going to be drafting here next week.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, play a win. Yeah, that's probably better said, Ray. That do enough to win. I mean, we're the king of one-score games. I don't care if we win by 1 point or if we win by 12. Terry, good evening. Another new one here. Got rid of the ball. Story of the game wouldn't get rattled. Offensive line. Yeah, you're not wrong. But anyway, let's roll into our keys to the game here. To the things that we think that the Vikings must do in order to be successful against the Rams on Monday night. So
don't do what you did last week.
Right.
Over.
Whatever you did last week, do the exact opposite of all of it.
Right. Outside the defense. Defense, I give the props to the defense last week. They played a hell of a game. The defense really did.
Terry, this is a very good point. When Lance and I were talking back and forth during the game, I know we mentioned this too, and I mentioned it on Rants on Monday, is like the run was working and you went away from it.
And then we went back to it too late and it wasn't working anymore.
Yep. And if you'd have kept running the ball earlier, that might have helped Darnold because you were still moving the ball down the field with the running game. But anyway, floor is yours, Lance. What are your keys to the game?
Figure out this pass protection. If it goes by personnel or whatever it is, whatever works. If it comes down to quick passes, then do that. But this pass protection, it's got to get, up there. You can't continue to play games like we played when the pass protection is just not there. Keep Darnold upright. Give him a clean window. You know what he can do. The dude can ball.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit here and say because of what happened last week, we're not going to win against the Rams. This team is fully capable of beating anybody and hanging with anybody in this league. This is a Super Bowl, type of team that we have here in Minnesota. Hands down, bar none. But it comes down to who shows up on Sunday or Monday this week.
They better show up on Monday. Sunday, we don't care about.
Well, you get what I'm saying.
Right.
Defense has played phenomenal the last 5 weeks. Keep it up. Keep continuing to do what we do on defense. I have no ill will towards that defense as of right now. They're doing everything they need to do to win games, and I love it. It's a Super Bowl caliber defense. Keep it up. The defense keeps doing what we do. We're going to win the game.
Yeah.
And then it just all comes back to the offense finding its feet again. I mean, we need to score, that first drive to come out just to get that taste out of our mouth of last week. Get it in the end zone as soon as we can get it in there.
Mm-hmm.
Special teams. It's been horrible. I mean, all around the last 3 weeks. Punt returner. We have no punt return game. I mean, you get what you get when the ball leaves the punter's foot. You're either getting 9 extra yards or you're getting where the fair catch is called. So, no punt return game for like since Marcus Sherrills has been gone. The field goal unit right now is
sketchy.
I don't even know. It's very sketchy and it's very concerning to me. And then along with the kickoff game, this is two illegal procedure penalties in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Along with missed field goals, not good. We turn that all around. And we're going to win this game. The offense needs to get rolling. That's the biggest thing this week. The offense needs to get rolling. The defense needs to continue to do what it has been doing. And just KOC needs to put together a masterclass offensive game plan this week. And if he does that, we're going to win this game. We are the better team. We are the better team going into this game.
Yeah. I mean, you just look at the way this stuff is. This team has the players. This team has the capability. We've demonstrated it multiple times this year.
You can't
yeah.
this late in the year.
Yeah, at this point in the game, you really can't. But one thing I think we should maybe do this week to maybe get that bad taste out of last week out of there. Typically, if we win the toss, we usually defer and take it in the second half. how many times this year have we come out in the second half and laid a fucking egg? If we win the toss, take the goddamn
Receive it.
ball, or hopefully that the Rams win and then they defer. But I want the ball, the first drive to open up that game. You go down there and you score a touchdown right off the get-go, gonna do a world of good for Sam Darnold and the entire team.
Ryan.
Yeah, exactly right. And that's what I was just getting at with my point. Set the tone right off the get-go. Go out there and say last week was not who this team is. And we are going to go out there and we are going to bitch slap the Rams up one side of the field and down the other. You know, the big thing that we had from last time. This time you got to contain Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp. Especially
we need to be the best version of ourselves going into these playoffs. This is what it needs to be.
But part of that is getting pressure on Stafford, sacking him, knocking him off his marks, because we did not do that last time. He barely got hit the last game. And you start doing that, you know, we've seen Matt Stafford throw some real clunker games over the years if he starts getting hit early.
Yeah.
You know, again, last week, Van Ginkel almost had a pick six on that one. He should have had it, but the ball came in so quick. I don't think he was quite ready for it. You know, if he'd have returned that would have changed that entire game around. Never got rid of it.
I don't think Smith Marset was the answer either, to be honest with you.
No, because he wasn't. I mean, he got lucky last week and you know, got a seam up the middle, but
right.
You know, he wasn't pulling his weight. He actually won us a game by us cutting him because of that game last year in Chicago where he fumbled the ball.
Back against Chicago, yeah.
But anyway, my second key to the game, establish the run and don't get away from it. Ryan brought this up earlier and somebody else talked about it too, but use the running game. I know Kevin O'Connell's a quarterback, likes to throw the ball. He's, you know, kind of more into that big play type stuff. But when you're getting 3, 4, 5 yards of carry on the run game, keep doing it. You can run that thing down the field. No, there's no rule in the NFL that says you can't run the ball 10 times on a drive and score a touchdown. If you are moving the chains, keep doing it until they stop you. You get that run game going. That gets the play action going. That gets all this other stuff going. They're going to have to start pulling the safeties up to go against the run. That's when you hit Jefferson up over the top for a 60-yard touchdown. They just, you know, take.
I think a lot of it goes in that interior offensive line play too, Rhino.
It does. It does. But, you know, and that's the thing with runs, you don't have to run it up the middle every time. Kick it out on the edges.
They need to be well called runs. Yes, exactly.
Right. You know, get them off tackle, do some jet sweeps, you know, with Addison, or, you know, do something, you know, something unexpected in the run game that breaks off a 30 to 40-yard run. You know, take exactly what they're going to give you. If they're going to give you the run, keep hammering them with it. Along with that, you know, brought it up the last time, you know, these quick high percentage throws, this team seems like it is allergic to throwing slants.
I know. And you know, when Green Bay used to have so many great games against us, just throwing quick slants.
Those slants and the running back screens, those little wheel routes and stuff that they would throw all the time. That Green Bay when Favre was there, they made a living doing that.
Yeah, and early in Rodgers' career,
right?
Yeah, that was their bread and butter against us.
Yeah, and Aaron Jones is very good at catching the ball out of the backfield and getting 7 to 10 to 12 yards on a crack. You know, we've got Hawkinson that can hit those short routes. We've got Josh Oliver that can hit those short routes. Jefferson and Addison are both fully capable of running short across the field. They don't have to run deep every play. This is not a run and shoot
Naylor across the middle would be fantastic on a slant. could be deadly.
if he can catch it.
Well, he's been playing pretty well the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
But then the other biggest thing, and you brought this up too, the offensive line needs to do its job. We mentioned Fisk and Verse earlier. Those guys are going to make life miserable if you can't get, and if you got to bring Oliver in, or if you got to run
personnel. If the personnel has to be whatever it takes to get
if
that
you're
pass
running 12 personnel with 2 tight ends in there, or you got to bring CJ Ham in to help, chip on this, you're going to have to do something. You can't let Darnold stand back there for 5 seconds and get hit 20 times.
What feels like 5 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, it feels like 5 minutes, yeah. So, I mean, we already know, and we've been harping on, we've been doing this show for almost, we're going to be going into our 5th year here pretty soon.
Yeah.
And we've been talking about it the entire damn time we've been on the air.
The interior of the offensive line.
Yes. It's got to be better than it is. I know a lot of people subscribe to that guards don't matter mantra. That's bullshit. This team has proven that guards matter.
Yes.
Guards matter. Centers matter. And we don't have either one.
The trenches is where it starts, man.
Yep. So, I mean, we do that stuff. We know we're fully capable of winning this game.
Yeah,
and we just got to go out there and everybody has to go do their jobs, play smart, sound football. Don't get inside your head like Darnold did last week, and we're going to be just fine. And of course, if the officials will actually call face masks when they're trying to rip Sam Darnold's helmet off
our intentional groundings.
Yeah.
That was a huge fucking play in that game.
And absolutely it was. But anyway, we're done with Detroit. We're not going to worry about that. The officiating sucks. The officiating has sucked all year long. It's going to continue to suck for the rest of this year. It's going to suck next year. It's going to suck for the foreseeable future of foreverness. Yeah, and this is a good point, Brian.
That's what I said earlier.
Yeah, the line played well against Green Bay.
The best game of the season against Green Bay, and then turned around the next week and played the worst game.
Yeah. But anyway, with that, let's roll into the prediction segment. Where typically during the regular season, we look at the other teams in the NFC North along with the Vikings to see what everybody's doing. But since we are in the playoffs right now, we're just going to look at the NFC playoffs because we don't care what goes on in the AFC right now until middle of February when we have to see who we're going to be playing down in New Orleans. So 3 games on the NFC side in the wild card round this weekend, starting off with the Green Bay Packers going to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles.
This could be Green Bay's game to win, I think. I think Green Bay can go and beat Philly in Philly. I truly do. And that's kind of what I'm hoping happens. I hate to say that as a Vikings fan that I'm rooting for Green Bay to beat Philly, but it's definitely possible. If it wasn't possible, I wouldn't be picking them here. Green Bay goes into Philly. Green Bay then goes to Detroit, and then we take the winner of Tampa or Washington, and hopefully it's Washington, and we can play them at home next week.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing. As much as and I agree with you 100%. I feel like the Finkel is Einhorn, Jim Carrey, Ace Ventura thing. Whenever I say I hope the Packers win, I'm laying curled up in the corner of my shower with the plunger, But Green Bay can beat Philly. I mean, Carolina almost beat Philly 3 weeks ago, whatever it was. Jalen Hurts is not 100%. He hasn't.
And he hasn't been playing that well this year in general. He hasn't been playing very well.
He was, he was doing okay, but if you got to go with old Mr. Smallhands, Kenny Pickett, Green Bay can win this game.
Yeah.
And it is beneficial for the Minnesota Vikings for Green Bay to win this game because, as you said, if Green Bay beats Philadelphia and Washington turns around and beats Tampa Bay, and then the Vikings do their job and beat the Rams, the Vikings would be hosting a playoff game next week against the Commanders. So, yeah, Hurts is playing, but he hasn't practiced in 3 weeks and he's not 100%. So, I mean, he's probably getting closer to being back, but
I could see the Pack winning this game, and I'm going to go with the Pack. I hate both these teams that are playing each other.
I do too, but
so
I think Green Bay has an Ryan made a point here. Christian Watson being out for the year. I mean, that does hurt. That was kind of a the freak injury he had. Christian Watson, his biggest problem is he can't stay healthy.
That's just it, yeah.
Which is weird because in college he was always healthy. I watched that kid play football for 4 years, and he should have. But just when he got to the NFL, it just for whatever reason he's just been injury ridden. Now that being said, they still got good wide receivers. They've got a good tight end. They got a good running game, and I think that running game is going to be a big deal against Philly because Philly gives up some yards on the ground.
Got a Rams fan up in here.
Which one are we looking at?
Yeah, the ones that you're got up right now.
Yeah. I'm so sick and tired of the frauds thing.
Yeah.
We're 13. We are 14-3. You are not with one of the toughest schedules in the league. That's not fraudulent. And
I hope your team, Eisen, if that's how you say your name, I hope your team thinks the same thing.
Yeah.
I hope all you fans are thinking that the Rams are going to embarrass us. I hope all you fans and I hope the players of that team think they're going to come in and just embarrass the fuck out of us because you're in for a rude awakening, in my opinion.
Yep. Oh, he's not. He's a Lions fan. The Lions fan here again. The Chihuahuas are back. But yeah. Anyway, so we both picked the Packers to win this week. Second game is the Washington Commanders going down to Tampa Bay to take on the Buccaneers.
This is a good weekend. This is a good wild card weekend for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go with Washington. I'm going to go with Washington on this one. The Buccaneers have been up and down kind of all year. They've had their moments, but Washington's been more consistent as far as that goes. I'm going to go with Washington here on this one.
Yeah. Now, of course, last week, Washington didn't look good at all in the first half with Jaden Daniels. They sat Jaden Daniels down. Marcus Mariota came in, played the second half, and they came back and won the game, which got them to this position in the playoffs. Mr. Detroit Lions fan talking about a team or the history of being losing.
Yeah. Yeah, you gloat your history over there. You gloat your history over there, Detroit.
Of course, for most of these Lions fans, history for them only starts in 2023. So, because most of the, guys like this weren't even Lions fans up until last year.
Right.
But anyway, Bucks did beat Washington in week 1. Yeah, the Bucks also beat the Lions in week 1 too, or week 2. So, Tampa
been running hot and cold all season.
Yeah, to your point, Tampa Bay is up and down and up and down. Baker can go out and throw for 4 touchdowns and they put up 35 points, or they can turn around and they can score 13.
Right. It's the one this game's up in the air for me, to be honest with you. But I'm gonna go.
It's definitely one that could go either way. I was a big Jaden Daniels fan. I know we both were, coming into this season. Dan Quinn has done a really nice job. Turning that team around. Yeah, and they don't have a ton of weapons. They got Terry McLaurin and they got They got, is it Robinson, their running back, is okay, but they've done, they've done a very good job year one. And, it's a nice story. It's all that other stuff, but
I think they'll get that wild card win, and I think that they'll be one and done. I think they're going to lose in the divisional round.
Yeah, because if they win in the divisional round, there's a fairly good likelihood that, again, they're coming to US Bank Stadium to play us.
Right.
Depending upon what happens with the Philly and Green Bay game. But so yeah, then you picking Green Bay, the Commanders, you taking the Bucks?
I'm going the Packs and the Commanders.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Commanders too in this one. I think it would not surprise me one bit for the Buccaneers to come out guns a-blazing and take this one. But this is the biggest, I guess you can call it a toss-up. You pick them, whatever game you want to call it here. Like I said, I am a little perturbed about the fact that Washington took out Jaden Daniels last week because it cost me some good money on a parlay that was the only one. He was the only one that I missed on that cost me the parlay. But I'm not going to hold it against them, especially if they go out and we end up with a home game next week. So, but in order for us to even consider getting that home game, the Minnesota Vikings Monday Night Football to wrap up Super Wild Card Weekend travel to Phoenix, Arizona, Glendale, technically, to take on the Los Angeles Rams. Of course, this is a home game for the Rams. Kind of. Ohio State must be winning. Yeah, Ryan, that's enough said, and I'm gonna leave we'll leave the Chihuahuas alone. They can go chew on their little bone in the corner and whatever else. But yeah, the Vikings taking on the Rams in what suddenly seems like more of a home game for the Vikings than it was just 2 weeks ago. So, or well, 4 days ago even. So what do you think here?
We're fully capable of beating anybody in this league. It just depends on which team shows up. Is it going to be that 14 win team, or is it going to be the team that lost 3 games? I'm going to go with KOC taking this time and this week off, or to prepare for this Rams team, and hopefully he went and he righted the ship on offense, and this offense does what it needs to do, like it has more often than not this season, to go out and win a game. So I'm going to go Vikings 24, Rams 17.
Low scoring affair. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this all night. If you lose this game, there is no tomorrow. You are done. You are packing it in, and you're looking forward to the 2025 season. This game is huge, not only for the Vikings, it is huge for Sam Darnold. He's got literally, Sam Darnold has several $1 million riding on this game. He comes out and throws another stinker like he did last week, and he's, back to that 3-year, $33 million, Baker Mayfield style contract. He goes out and he throws 4 touchdowns and they beat the Rams by 14 points. Then, yeah, you're in that $50 million a year range.
Yep. Plus, you've added the playoff win to your resume.
Yep. So this is going to show the world what Sam Darnold is made of. Is he this, what the national media has been telling us, all the Stephen A. Smiths and everybody of the world have been saying all year long, that Sam Darnold's going to eventually turn back into a pumpkin and come crashing down? Or is it going to be Darnold Schwarzenegger, the guy that we've seen, 12, 13, the guy that threw for over 100 QBR 13 times this year?
Right.
That comes in with ice in his veins and goes out, gets the job done, leads this team down for a game-winning drive, and we walk out of there with a win and move on.
Exactly. Well put. Yes. All of that.
So with that, I think, this is an important game, obviously, for the Vikings. This is an important game for Kevin O'Connell. This is a very important game for Sam Darnold. So I think they're going to bounce back, and I think they're going. It's probably going to be a little bit more of a high-scoring game. It could be that 37-27 game, but somewhere in there. But I think the Vikings get the job done, and we move on to next week. So, but with that, we've been going on here for well over an hour. Great conversations, great discussion in the chat as always. You guys always bring it. We love bringing it in here. And somebody sees Norsefius, make sure to give him shit, because we've done 2 Norsefius shows in a row the last 2 weeks, and he hasn't been here.
I haven't seen him in I think 3 weeks actually. So
he was on Rants the other night, I think. But
okay.
So make sure you do that. Still got 40 people in the chat here right now with, after an hour and 12 minutes. I mean, that's been a great night. So thank you guys for everything. As always, shout out to the Filipino fan club. Shout out to my lovely wife watching upstairs. Let's just go out and get a damn win this weekend, guys, and move on in the playoffs. We haven't had a playoff win since 2019. It's time we get one. It's time we go out there and take those people that, like the idiot earlier that said that the Vikings are frauds, and this, like I said, the Stephen A. Smiths and these morons on national TV who think they're experts on all this stuff. Shut them up. Minnesota moves on, and we look forward to next week. So
that's right.
With that, why don't you take us out of here, Lance?
Just like Brian said up there, nothing next year is guaranteed. So let's win some playoff games here. Let's go get it done.
Absolutely.
I'd love to do what we haven't done in the last 30 something years, and that's go out and win 2 playoff games in one season. So
let's start with one, though.
You're right.
You can't win 2 in a row unless you win the first one. So
right. With that being said, we'll see you all next week after Vikings win. Skol.
Right. Have a good weekend, everybody.